This Saturday, October 20th, we'll once again have a unique and free opportunity to interact with researchers and artists at Hamilton's 5th annual Researchers Night. This year's theme is Matter and Antimatter. And with me in studio for a preview are Florence and Paul Talon. Thank you both for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
I think this is fascinating. So let's give our viewers a little background on what you both do. First off, let's start with you, Florence.
Yeah, so I'm an adjunct professor at McMaster in the Department of Psychiatry, and I put together this event about 5 years ago, and directly imported from Europe and from France, actually. I imported the concept of Researchers' Night.
What made you come to Hamilton to do this?
Research.
It was all research.
It was all research, and this is a little side project that started as a little side project and became a
and
bigger.
now it's grown.
Yes.
So are you a full-blown Hamiltonian now? Have we
Yes.
kept you here?
Yes.
Great to hear. Good stuff. And Paul, what about yourself? What type of research are you in, sir?
Well, I'm a sessional instructor at McMaster University.
Okay.
I just graduated my master's back in May.
Congratulations.
Right, thank you so much. And the class I'm teaching is on sustainable manufacturing processes to engineering students. Specifically, it's a materials engineering course.
Okay.
And that's where I got my master's degree in, was in materials engineering. And through the course, basically talking about giving engineering students tools to properly quantify the environmental impact of a process. So with them going forward into a manufacturing environment, they'll be able to basically calculate the global warming potential and all these other things. So that's where I come into this, because my little stage will be about specifically environmental impacts of processes and things like that.
So Florence, let's talk about this specific event, Matter, and I'm looking at the brochure here, Matter and Antimatter. What exactly are people going to be getting from this specific talk?
So it is a setup almost like a science fair. It is a sort of a science fair, but to meet incredible researchers talking about matter and antimatter. So matter is everywhere, and it's in different forms, and that's what we want to also illustrate. You can do research about matter, looking at, for instance, astrophysics with dark matter. You can also look at the material of the future for the future cars. How do you manufacture steel, and how, for instance, you use matter to develop biomedical tools for prosthetic, for instance. Okay. So there are 12 different stations, and we want people to come in and engage face-to-face in a very open, fun, and friendly environment that is a little different from the academic setting. Usually people go and talk to or see and engage with researchers in a more traditional way, where you go in a conference room, you sit down, you listen to a talk, and then you ask a few questions. Here, there's a little bit of an introduction, and rapidly you get a chance to actually interact face-to-face with the researchers.
Interaction is so key, Paul. And speaking of interacting, I see you brought in some...
That's right.
Would this be considered matter right here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I've learned something already. What do we have here?
So I have a kilogram of steel and a kilogram of aluminum. From their different densities, you can see that aluminum has a lower density and therefore a greater volume for 1 kilogram. Yet in manufacturing both of these materials, it produces a certain amount of CO2. So for 1 kilogram of steel, it produces about 2 kilograms of CO2 that is free roaming in our atmosphere and adding to the global warming potential, or that is the global warming potential of steel, rather. For aluminum, it's about 4.3 times. So for 1 kilogram of aluminum, we produce about 4.3 kilograms of CO2.
So that's a kilogram each, but they're
That's
bigger.
right.
I remember when I was in high school, what weighs more, a pound of feathers or a
Oh,
pound of
right,
bricks,
yeah,
right?
we were just making that joke.
Yeah,
actually.
okay, there you go. Hey, I'm making scientist jokes.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
awesome.
great. Yeah,
Okay,
totally.
Cool.
So in the exhibit, I'll have these materials as well as a little piece of gold. I have a little gold penny.
Yeah.
And I'll have garbage bags representing the amount of CO2, basically full garbage bags around. And you'll be able to fully pick up this and say, oh, wow, that's a lot of CO2 for making such a small piece of this. So, and we make tons and tons of that consistently, especially in Hamilton, right?
Of course, yeah, we're Steel City, that's right. Florence, talk to us about some of the special guests, some of the speakers that will be coming out to this great day.
So each year we have amazing guest speakers. This year we have 2 of them. One is Bea Johnson, and she's the antimatter side of our Researchers' Night. She is the one who founded the zero waste lifestyle movement in California about 7 years ago. And she is giving talks to everywhere in the world, to the United Nations, to basically showcases her method to reduce our waste in our household in a very simple way. She's really amazing, and it's amazing that we got her to Hamilton because she's very, very busy. Yes, and we're very happy to have her. And then we also have Danielle Quentin, which is the lady who's overarching the research for ArcelorMittal, which we don't know here as Dofasco of ArcelorMittal, but she is the one to direct the research and the human resources in France and in space for that company.
Paul, is this going to be your first one that you'll be attending?
Yeah, this is the first Researchers' Nights that I've been able to be a part of.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that because I'll ask the question of Florence then. When people come out and they have this chance to speak to a scientist or a researcher, which doesn't really happen in this type of form, what's the vibe like? What are you sensing? What are you hearing from people? Are they kind of doing what I'm doing right now? Like I'm in awe and it's fascinating?
I think so. I think we always got very good comment from the people. You can engage and the conversation can go on in different ways, really. It really depends on your own curiosity, and that's where the magic happens, because you don't really know where the conversation is going to go. It's all about, the science, the research, but it's also a way to interact into maybe some more profound questions about the implication of research in our lives or the life of a researcher every day, their challenges and so on. So we hope that this way the connection is really from a human being to another human being.
And I think that's important as well. Paul, you look at researching, you look at what you've accomplished to this point in your young life. Where do you kind of see this going for you? Where do you see this going for the youth, for future, who want to get into science, research, and maybe be part of an event like this?
Oh, well, I think it's a great opportunity for everyone. And if the younger generation comes out and sees what we're doing and gets really excited about the science, as well as the realistic implications of that. So if I'm talking about sustainability of manufacturing, they'll be able to maybe look at that process and maybe see something new in it that they can now improve, and therefore improve sustainability of that process. So I think there's a really big spot for students to move into, and as well as seeing research without having to go to, let's say, a conference that's very expensive, as well as potentially boring if you're not like really into that niche of the research. So this is just such a cool opportunity. I'm excited to be part of it.
Yeah, exciting. And again, it's open concept more or less. You mentioned 12 different tables, so people can kind of come and go as they please.
Exactly. That's exactly the concept. There's no beginning or end time, and people can just go and see if, they feel that, they are engaged into a discussion at one table a little bit too advanced, then I'm just coming back later and they're just going to wander around. We'll have food available on site, so people can grab a little sandwich from the stations, and then it's open from 6 to 10 p.m. and the Bea Johnson conference is from 5 to 6 p.m.
Is there admission? Do you ask that people register in advance?
No, we don't. There's only one of the station, and people can find the information online. It's to go and visit one of the lab at the MARC, which is the McMaster Automotive Research Center, across from the MIP. People will have to register there, but that's the only thing. It's all free and open to all.
Wonderful. You teased us with a couple of the special guests, and we know Paul's going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun, no doubt. What are some of the other tables that might be there that might pique someone's interest?
Everything. I know that we are quite successful with our archaeologists. There's an archaeologist who's going to showcase some specimens that are found specifically on the Hamilton site. And he's usually quite successful. But also, I would say we also have a special, the person who won the Lion's Lair Award recently, one of the researcher and founder of the company Mesomat is going to be there.
Yeah, okay.
Dr. Carrie Dalnoki-Veras. We have, a very interesting topics on electronic microscopy with really cool pictures, and we're going to talk about also forensic engineering. What happened when a bridge falls? Whose responsibility it is? And we have an investigator who's actually also an engineer going on site trying to figure this one out.
Wonderful stuff. We're looking at a lot of wonderful, great photos from past events. Paul, we're looking forward to seeing you there, and thank you for coming in. Very quickly, a recap from you, Florence, date and time and where people can go.
So it's on a Saturday, October 20th, so this coming Saturday, at the McMaster Innovation Park, located on 175 Longwood Road South. And it's open to all, starting at 5 p.m., finishing at 10 p.m.
Florence and Paul, both, thank you so much. Good luck this coming Saturday.
Thank you so much.
It's been wonderful having you in here. We are going to continue on right after the break. Still ahead, we'll find out how yoga and organ donation are coming together to support educating potential donors.